Good morning, everyone. My name is Sean Farrell. I'm the president and CEO of Managed Solution. We are a managed cloud service provider based here in the Southwest United States with offices in various places. But today we wanted to talk about your small business and really putting it in the cloud. So the topics we're going to cover are going to be around cloud awareness and really just understanding what the cloud is, what it means to my business, how I might position my business in the future and today to be in the cloud and just prepare myself for it. So with that, we want to talk about some of the readiness and what our business looks like today, what the technology is within, and what we can offload to the cloud. We'll also talk a lot about value and some of the tools that bring value in the cloud, some of the costs that may be of more value moving applications to the cloud and or what we call workloads. And then of course we want to show you some of the productivity tools and do a quick demo. So, business value, what can the cloud really do for your business? And I know a lot of companies go, I think it's basically I move my stuff to the cloud or to some other place and it works just about the same or it works even worse. But the reality is the cloud does bring a lot of business value. And I guess the first thing to start off with saying is in the small business, we have to look at our businesses as ones that want to scale up very quickly and ones that potentially scale down. And a lot of the times in the past when we looked at technology, we saw companies who went out in the small business side buy big servers and big applications that they had to pay in a capex fashion, and they didn't know if they were going to take full advantage or really use them. So in the cloud, it's a really flexible model where you're able to set up and bring applications up very quickly and pay for them as a per seat or per user basis. So when we talk about flexibility and scalability, I mean, these are all things that you see in the cloud. The software that we use today that's on premise, we think about things like Microsoft Office with Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, or Outlook for email. All of those same applications, they're very enabled and ready to go in the cloud. And as a matter of fact, they work a lot better in the cloud. So, when we talk about working better in the cloud, what do we mean by that? Well, when you talk about our data center or our servers that are somewhere else, we want to know that they're up and we can continue to have great productivity in the business. So, in the cloud, we have what we call the nines, the amount of uptime. And in the cloud, we get about 4 nines of uptime. So, what that tells us is that in 1 year, the cloud is oftentimes down maybe 6 to 8 hours total. So, when you talk about business productivity, it's definitely there. The big thing in the small business is this around this idea of mobility or the mobile workforce. And there's statistics out there that talk about if I enable my people to work from home or more mobile or use tablets or really just work somewhere else other than in the office, they're going to be more productive. And that is, in fact, a proven statistic. And of course, we want to be able to enable that by bringing up cloud solutions. So when we talk about being able to get to the cloud through just an internet browser and get to my applications, that's how we create a mobile workforce, or as I've heard the term before, BYOD, bring your own device to the cloud and we'll be able to access it. And then of course we can look at operational spends for cloud and how to reduce, some of the capex that we've been doing in the past. So today we're going to talk about Microsoft and what's called Office 365. That is what Microsoft considers their platform that they've built for us in the cloud to again use some of the common applications that we're used to using in the business workplace. So Office 365 combines a whole plethora of products and it does some of the stuff that we're used to today. It does anything from file sharing. So when we used to, or used to, I guess today, to put our stuff in centralized, shares or files or drives, we all have one common to us at the workplace. It does that for us in the cloud. It does some additional things that we may or may not take advantage of today. Audio and video conferencing in high definition. It's just inherent and it's part of what you get when you log into the cloud. So now we can have video conferences across all of our customers and or peers within our company. It has the ability to provide technical support services. So we operate and have a 24/7 technical support staff that helps end users with problems or make sure that servers and cloud-based services are up and running. We talked a little bit about the SLAs and the making sure that the cloud is actually up, and we talked about it being up 99.9% of the time. And then we talk about, simplified IT management. When we think about IT management in the past, we had sort of that old school look at things where we had IT people on staff, we paid them full-time salaries, they were managing servers in our back closet, making sure they were up, and servers got older and, started to break down on us. We don't have to worry about that anymore. We don't have to worry about in-housing IT people necessarily. We don't have to worry about having servers on premise that we have to refresh every 3 years. All of this stuff is simplified and it's based, in a cloud-based world. And then of course we talked a little bit about mobility, but just the simplicity and the ability to access our applications anytime, anywhere, from frankly any device. And then lastly, we talked about having some of the common stuff that we're used to using, like the full suite of Office products, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook for email, and then some additional tools that we'll talk about, like SharePoint and a Link from Microsoft. So, steps to the cloud. What we want to talk about today is just really defining the business environment that we currently live in and understanding what our unique business needs are for each of our clients and not, making this one for all. So, first of all, we have to understand what our budget is. When we're used to paying for IT in today's world, I think we're used to what we call a capital X structure. We buy servers, we essentially hire IT people, we buy applications out of the box, and we need to look at what our budget looks like over the next 3 to 5 years if we were to move that into a pay per user basis and really compare ourselves to what we're doing today on premise and what we pay every 3 years, let's say in a capex fashion, to an opex. Then we need to figure out what moves first. A lot of companies have line of business applications that just frankly don't belong in the cloud. Legal applications or financial applications, things that need to have certain compliancy regulations built around them, so we can't move them. But there's other applications that are pretty straightforward and simple, such as email, and like we talked about, audio and video conferencing, and really the ability to share files somewhere else that can quickly be moved to the cloud without much resistance from the customer. So from there, once we figure those things out in that sort of forward-thinking strategy, we want to create an implementation plan. Again, I've heard a lot of people say, well, you just turn on an email address or you turn on this user and you're in the cloud. Well, the reality is you're not. There is a migration of data to the cloud and making sure that people see and experience the same type of work that they did on premise in the cloud in the future. So that implementation plan is very important. And remember, when we move to the cloud, most of the time we're getting all of the new applications available to us, and I'll give you an example, Office 2013 for Microsoft. So when we do that, we're going to get a different interface and it's going to create a different user experience. So we talk about train in this exercise. It is so important that we do that. And when we as a company send out people, we actually have account managers or technologists that we call coaches. They're really there to sit side by side with the user and coach them through the tools and figure out how to use them best. So from there, of course, we talked about implementing the cloud, but really just creating an ongoing review process to continue to forward think our way through how we use technology to enable the business. And that's something that we want to do on a monthly basis with customers in more of a CIO type strategy. And then, of course, that ongoing support 24/7, very important to our business and what we and how we access support. So let's talk a little bit about what's the hybrid cloud, because as I mentioned in the previous slide, the hybrid cloud is something to which allows us to still have data on premise and then of course move the right applications or workloads to a different place or in the cloud, and in this case Office 365. And we kind of talk about this idea of this hybrid cloud, this mix of both on-premise and off-premise talking to one another. So very straightforward, but the idea is we're probably going to still have some hardware on premise that houses some of our current applications that don't belong in the cloud today. We're also going to have the ones that are currently in Office 365 and other clouds, and they belong there and we access them that way. But all in all, they're governed the same way by what we call Active Directory and directory services, and we're able to manage both clouds in a secure fashion. So Office 365, I think the big thing for a lot of people where we don't have one device anymore. I know as a CEO of my company, I carry about 4 devices around, and different types of devices. I carry an iPad, and I have a bunch of these nice new Microsoft Surfaces, and of course in my office I have a desktop, and then I even have, I have 2 mobile phones oftentimes. And with that, when we buy into an Office 365 license, we actually are able to install that across 5 devices. And again, those devices and their operating systems can be agnostic, meaning we can run things on our iPad, or we can run things on our Android tablet, or of course we can run them on a Windows-based form factor. So one of the business productivity tools that we want to talk a lot about is really accessing documents anytime, anywhere. So in today's world, when we think about going to our shared drives and our folders in the servers in the back room or into our personal C drives, we can usually always get to our C drive, but when we want to get to those shared drives, a lot of us are using what we'll call a VPN or some sort of remote desktop to be able to get into those documents unless we're in the office at all times. And so when we look at the cloud and what it does is we can now take documents and through the internet browser upload them into our different sites. And we'll talk a little bit about them in a minute. One called SkyDrive, another one was SharePoint, and really put those documents there and then share them out at any given time. And when I say share, it's very different in the way we've been used to doing it before. In traditional formats, what we do with sharing drives is, or sharing applications is we'd send an email with the document we have or tell somebody that, hey, here's the folder of documents in today's world, we can right click on the Word document or Excel document and it has a share button and then share it out to our peers and they can be editing the document at any given time. So when we talk about real-time collaboration or the ability to edit things at the same time, very powerful when you're in project management or financial or accounting type plays, or even if you're looking at a legal document. So very important ways that people have used this to share documents. So productivity and then increasing it and being able to work faster. So some of the things that Microsoft Office has enabled, and you kind of see a picture of Excel here, is the ability to quickly take and PDF documents directly from Excel, which is now PDF-wise is built inherently into Office 2013. There's easy to use templates that show you how to build graphs and charts and all of these things inside of products like Excel, or how to build templates inside of Word to produce resumes or outlines for companies or business plans or projects. It's really right there for you, and you can do it right from the start. So one of the things that we really get excited about for companies is this idea of access, from any browser anytime. And again, when we say browser, Internet Explorer, Firefox, you name it, it's really up to you what you use. But access to the things that we commonly use, that's the key here. Things like email with Outlook, calendaring that we're commonly using on a daily basis. One thing we're going to talk a little bit about today is understanding the presence of someone, where they're at, sort of through this idea of like kind of the red light, green light, yellow light deal, where if they're green, they're available. If they're red, there might be in a meeting, and it kind of shows, what they're up to. But again, when you talk about real-time collaboration and being able to say, oh, I want to know if one of my peers is available, and you see that they're green, and then be able to right-click and instant message that person, it's very powerful, and it's a quick way to communicate, which again speeds up business productivity. And then we'll talk a little bit about some of the abilities to create websites and what we call intranet portals to publish news to our company is going to be very important for us. And then last but not least, we'll talk about some of the stuff we're used to using in Office, both on demand and or via a web app. And, you're going to get the same experience you have today when you have it on premise. So customers, connecting with them and really that communication, which is key to our businesses. How do we communicate better with our customers? One of the things that's inherent in Office 365 is a product called Microsoft Link. And if everybody out there is familiar with with Skype, Microsoft Link actually is going to be integrating very soon here with Skype. And what you know about, I'm sure, Skype and what we know about Link, for those of you who already use it, it is a tool to host and have conferencing or video conferencing, or again, we'll call it online meetings using an HD type display. We can go into it and do content sharing. So if we want to share out Word and Excel documents or PDFs or pictures or whatever that is, we can go in and do that. While we're in these things, we can be instant messaging our peers, our customers, internal employees. I know I've seen an example where, we're talking to a customer and we want to quickly send an IM to our sales team to kind of talk about what's going on in the meeting, and it's a quick way to do it. And then we can produce digital whiteboards where people can go in and whiteboard out a solution, or, we have professors at some of our universities who hold classes and use it as their whiteboard solution as they hold classes online. And then again, we talked about it. Anybody can join with just a web browser, making it very easy. So we talked a little bit about this a couple of slides ago, but how do we create, one of the most important things to our business, both a web presence, or we call that an extranet, and then potentially even nowadays what we call an intranet, a place where news can be shared to our employees about what the heck's going on in our company, the goods, the bads, the sporting events, the updates, via the project management team, sales documents. So that's what's going on using a product called Microsoft SharePoint. So Microsoft SharePoint allows what we call an extranet to be built, and really a website, if you will, that can be published, and that's what people access. So when you think about creating your next website, you may already own the tools to do that inside of SharePoint. On the other side of that, you have your idea of your intranet portals, the ability to create, like I just said, the centralized news page where any updates, articles, things about people, for example, and really, a place where you can build culture are kept. And this is inherent again in Office 365, and it's hosted within the Microsoft platform, so we don't have to go out anymore and pay for hosting fees. So business class email and calendaring, we are all familiar with, our email. That's what we use probably 95% of the time. I caveat that with, I think we're going to be using less of email in the future as we get to use things like instant messages and or conferencing for our communication mediums. But email is huge for us still, and it does consume a lot of data and a lot of our information. So when we talk about that, we use Outlook, and you get Outlook inherently here in the cloud, and you get access to the same things like your calendar and of course your email on a daily basis. But what's important here is that doing it in the cloud, we get very large mailboxes, up to 25 gigs, and I'm guilty as a CEO of having, oh God, I think 40,000 emails in my inbox, so you can see how those gigabytes quickly add up. And then of course we get into things like malware protection that's included in this to make sure that spam isn't coming through. And then our calendars and some of the different contacts like we talked about and the presence of those contacts, and even integration with some of our social sites like LinkedIn and Facebook, where we can kind of feed up through our Outlook calendar what's happening in our Facebook communities, which to a lot of people is very important. And I think you guys just may have saw our link product working right there in real time. So I wanted to talk about a client success story real quick, and it was a university we worked with. God, we started about a year ago, and so this university was an on-campus, on-premise university, and it had 500 students. And the president and the CFO and the CTO came to us and said, we have a vision for the school, and that's to make it an online university. And they had, growth plans, and of course, through that they had some revenue they wanted to generate, and so they asked us to come in and figure out how to do that. So what we did is we used Office 365, and we brought in the tool set that's inherent in the product. And we brought tools in from SharePoint. We even brought in a tool that people may be familiar with called Yammer that's included in Office 365. And then of course some of the common stuff that we're used to, email with Outlook. We talked about Link for video conferencing, and then some Skyping there. And then we also had our common Outlook tools, and then Microsoft Office. So here was the thing. What were the results after doing it? One of the things that happened in the school was we created an online campus where we could quickly deploy these online apps to students. And we talked about, if you're in the cloud, how quickly can you deploy apps? And it's 5 minutes. And so we deployed these applications to students, to professors. As we talked about using products like Microsoft Link and SharePoint, we were actually able to go in and create online student portals, and then within that use Link to publish whiteboards and hold classes and have video conferencing going. And students were instant messaging across each other, talking about what they did or did not like in the class, and sharing documents, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, all through the cloud. And what we found was that the university itself, because now they were online, didn't have any infrastructure costs going forward other than, obviously buying these type of tools. And they increased not only student productivity 25%, but they actually grew from 500 students to over 1,800 in 6 months as students registered, got these tools, and got brought online. And of course, with that grew the revenue over 40%. So it was a great success story. A lot of universities are using it, and they're very happy with it. So today I wanted to do a quick demo for us, and I'm going to use actually one of the neater tools within, I think, Office 365, and something that we probably haven't seen before, which is Microsoft Link. And so if you look here, we have Microsoft Link, which is just another dashboard that we have on our screen, and it's pretty straightforward. But as we talked about before, you can kind of see the presence of people. There I am, I'm available. I can set my location if I want to. I can even have my daily saying in there. In this case, we operate under a theme of operational transparency, or the OT. So, I put that up there for the day. But you can see my people, Dave Atkins, one of my business development managers in sales, who's available, or Kelly Taylor, who's available from a video who's available in the marketing department. So if I right click on these people as I just did, you'll see my capabilities here that I can do using this product. So if I want to send an instant message to Kelly, I can say, hey, are you there? And we should see in a second, waiting for a response from Kelly. She should be able to type back. And so long as she actually is there. There we go. So Kelly's going to type, yep, hello. And then I can quickly decide with Kelly what I want to do from there. Do I want to call her? Do I want to video call her? Do I even want to share my screen with Kelly? And if I wanted to share my screen, I just click here. If I have multiple monitors, I could share my main monitor. And she's seeing screen sharing. And if I want to preview what I'm going to show her, I can preview it. But right now, you can see up here, she is connected with me. And then if I wanted to add her to a video call, I could just start a video call with Kelly. And that's what you get. You get a video call there, and I'm not going to use video right now because we just don't have the time, but of course it'd be able to video right into her. So we're just going to tell Kelly thanks. You later. And she's going to be gone. So anyway, that was working with Kelly, and that's just one of the quick ways to collaborate. Go from sending an instant message to video calling somebody to just calling them. Or as you even saw over here, as I right-click a little bit more on what's capable here, is we can send the message, call them, or I can even just go straight to an email. And then as you'll see in my Outlook down here, there's my my Kelly Taylor email. So very simple ways of communicating. So let's get back to this. So managed solution, and I guess why and what we do. So managed solution, we are a managed cloud service provider. We provide services around what we talked about today, Office 365, and managing those workloads on a per seat basis. We operate in 3 geographic locations in Southern California, both San Diego, Orange County, and LA. And as you can see, we maintain well over 1,000 businesses and 50,000 plus assets that we currently manage today. And we're a good company. We've had some good growth over the years, and we've really adopted this cloud evolution, if you will. And I think the big thing that I tell people is we're really here to help your forward-thinking strategy and figure out, if the cloud's meant for you or not. So you can see here that we have some of the great recognition from some of the best companies out there, including Microsoft awards over the last year. And if you are looking for cloud, I mean, we do sit in the top 1% of partners worldwide for cloud services. So we definitely know what we're talking about. So one of the things that I wanted to show everybody today was just some of the portfolio services that we add on, giving you some of the tools in Office 365. So everything you saw today, we actually include in our basic product with Office 365, including management and monitoring of those tools. So we actually hook you up to portals and manage you and make sure that things are being updated and things are working right for as low as $15 a month. The other side of that is really what we get into, which is considered our M4 SKU, where we not only provide you all of the Office 365 suite, but hardware that may be on-premise or in that off-premise environment, in that hybrid cloud type fashion that we talked about, and on-site support plus 24/7 help desk services. So for $90, you don't really think about your environment ever again. We take it, we manage it, we do the whole thing. So I wanted to thank everybody for listening in today. Again, my name is Sean Farrell, and our website is managedsolution.com. We have a 888 number down there that you guys can call. And, of course, if you do email sales@managedsolution.com, you can get a hold of one of our team. And by all means, if there's anything I can do for you, my email address is sfarrell@managedsolution.com. Again, we appreciate the time, and we'll talk to you soon.